That's my personal opinion that maybe the West team might win it. They're the underdogs, too, if we can find a bet. The Jets signed a new linebacker today, and I've seen him play on many occasions. He's a wild-eyed middle linebacker. Oh, boy, can he play. His name is Jim Mahoney. Played University of Miami. Made 104 tackles in one season when the University of Miami had a bad football team about 3 years ago. If he hadn't been playing on the team, they'd have lost every game by 30 points. Joe Namath, the great all-time, all-priced, all-time quarterback, said today that he won't play in the All-Star football game in Buffalo, and he won't play in the All-Star football game in Chicago. And I can imagine why. The Jets have a $400,000 investment in this young man, and his knee isn't recovered fully as yet, so why should he play? And I don't blame him. Tomorrow is a great big day in horse racing. Remember last week on this very same night I told you that Cupid would win the big race at Aqueduct? Well, he did, by 8 lengths easily. Tomorrow is the Westchester Stakes at Aqueduct, and he'll win it just as easily as he won the race yesterday. Cupid is one of those horses that only Pat Lynch, the great handicapper of the Journal American, discovered about a year ago. And this horse is a great racehorse. He gets in under 115 pounds, and he'll win it just as easy as there is anything going tomorrow. The big race in the country, however, is the Gulfstream Park Handicap. That's a big one, with Gunbow, Candy Spots, Lieutenant Stevens, all the good ones competing at Gulfstream Park tomorrow. Now let's listen to the great comeback of the year, Walter Blum with Jim Alba.
Behind the jockeys' quarters at Gulfstream Park, you're watching Walter Blum, two-time national riding champion. And it looks as though he's going to take about 2 strokes off of his game before the Gulfstream meet is over.
I wish I could do that on a golf course.
Walter, when we talk about you, we talk about Eddie Neloy, and of course that means Gunbow. You had a great race here in the Don Handicap. Tell us about it.
Well, Jim, the race itself is...
Salmone, insalata di riso, antipasto assortito. And of course, our breadsticks. I was very much surprised when I discovered that in America you have breadsticks as good as ours. Here they are, in this nice cellophane package. The name is Stella d'Oro. They are so crisp. May I suggest something? Enjoy them in soups like we do, and with all your Italian dishes, or with your American salads. Breadsticks like Stella d'Oro would cost 200 lira here in Italy. Oh, but if you come to Italy, don't bring any with you. Our custom inspectors would not like it.
Is everybody a carbon copy, a rubber stamp, handcuffed to mass-roasted coffee? No. There's him. He won't touch mass-roasted coffee. Him, too. He started our business. Refused to mass-roast coffee. His conscience wouldn't let him. At Martinson, we buy the world's best coffees and then roast them individually to get the best flavor from each kind of coffee. Now, it's very expensive to roast coffees individually. It's cheaper just to mass-roast coffees like other leading coffee makers do. But individually roasted coffees make a richer, stronger blend that mass-roast cannot duplicate. Cost more? By the can, yes. By the cup, no. Because you use less of it. Now, we don't have to individually roast coffees the way we do. After all, some people can't tell the difference. But we do it anyway. For him, for you, and for our conscience.
Con una piacevole casa, signor Fettuccini.
Direct from Italy, an interview with...
Have met them already, and we asked them to come back and try to bring me up to date a little bit on what's happening in the world.
Harmful deposit.
Hard to be where you are. Everywhere.
Funny. Poi no ukulele. Mahalo, Mama.
And you forgot to brush your teeth after lunch, as you should.
I'm late, but we took your advice. We brush with Gleam now whenever we can.
Well, you'll have to take that up with Mr. System of Instruments. The big one, and the Queen's horse is the biggest favorite. His name is the Rip, and he is the favorite now at 13-2. Then there's a horse called Freddie. He's a Scottish-owned horse. He's 7-1. And then there's a horse from America called J. Trump, and he's 7.5-1. There's 49 horses in the race. I'd like to be a bookmaker. Now let's visit a Rambler 65 showroom that's just opening its doors to accept something real tremendous.
It was a private club until 10:30, an hour and a half of Spanish every day, the 2 weeks we're there. In the latter part of the morning, spend going around the island. The program will coincide with the morning orientation. In other words, if we're talking about the economy, we'll visit some of the factories, the piña plantations, the pineapple plantations, the coffee foundations, the rum factories and what have you. If it's a government, we'll be visiting the government houses, talking with the government officials and what have you. So we expect to have a very busy 2 weeks. It's all work. Believe me, we're going to enjoy it, but there's going to be a lot of work involved.
Are the officers paying for the trip themselves?
No. I assume the responsibility of going to a foundation and getting the money. The city is providing the time for the men to do it because they understand it is work and it is going to be beneficial. But my community center raised the money to send the men down.
We're extremely enthusiastic about it. We're very grateful to the people who made it possible. And these men are interested in bettering relationships between our Spanish-speaking people and the police. They've been studying Spanish, as you know, in their own time, to prepare for this, not only for this, but for their own work. And I'm sure these 2 weeks in Puerto Rico will be great help in mutual understanding.
New York Senator Robert Kennedy is back at the business of politics in Washington tonight after becoming the first man to set foot atop Mount Kennedy in the Canadian Yukon. The junior senator climbed the peak named after his late brother. Kennedy had a narrow escape when he fell into an ice crevice. He said today, "From now on, I don't leave the first floor of my house." On Wall Street, stock prices were sharply lower in moderate trading today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 6.68. Rails were down 2.29, utilities were up 0.19. The volume was 5,020,000 shares. Uncertainty about developments in Moscow and the word that the president was making a statement increased selling pressure today. Traders feared that both might have something to do with Vietnam. Even though the fear proved unfounded, prices continued to fall. Among the most active issues, Olin Matheson, 48 3/4, up 5/8. Northwest Airlines, 78 3/8, down 2 5/8. General Motors, 100 1/8, down 3/4. Xerox, 118 1/8, down 6 5/8, and AT&T, 66 1/2, down 1/8. On the American exchange, prices were lower in moderately active trading. An interview with Warren Spahn and all the sports coming up after this message.
You get a smile every time with a Valentine. Wow, what a beer, that Valentine. You get a smile every time with a Valentine. Wow, what a beer, that Valentine. Beer after beer, the most refreshing around. Won't fill you up, won't let you down. So get a smile every time with a Valentine. Get a smile every time. Make it Valentine beer.
You wrap your hand around a cold Valentine. You taste it, and wow, what a beer. Crisp and lively, glass after glass. Won't fill you up, won't let you down.
Get a smile every time. Make it Valentine beer. Wow, what a beer.
Now the sports. The NBA playoffs resume tonight. St. Louis 83, Baltimore 77 at the end of 3/4, and Cincinnati beat Philadelphia 121 to
investigation near Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Authorities near Los Angeles have seized a large supply of ammunition, reportedly headed in part for militant right-wing groups in the state. Some of the 373 machine guns and 100,000 rounds of ammunition were believed headed for arsenals of groups known as the Minutemen and Rangers. Some 22 persons reportedly have been killed in a plane crash in the Himalayan mountains. Rescuers found 4 survivors, including 3 children, after a day-long search. The plane was owned by the Pakistan International Airlines. U.S. Ambassador Maxwell Taylor flies to Washington today for a series of high-level conferences in the war in South Vietnam. Taylor reportedly will press for bigger and more frequent airstrikes against the North Vietnamese. Informed sources say he feels the United States should severely hit the communists with more bombing raids before considering any bid for peace. U.S. officials reportedly believe Russia will go ahead with plans to give increased military aid to North Vietnam. Informed sources say some military equipment already may have reached Hanoi. U.S. Labor Secretary Willard Wirtz has urged that the price of produce be raised slightly to improve the wages of domestic farm workers. Wirtz wound up a tour of California agricultural areas yesterday. The temperature in New York is currently 34 degrees, and the 3-day forecast, mostly sunny and windy with seasonable temperatures today and the high in the low 50s. Clear and cold tonight with diminishing winds with a low in the 20s. Tomorrow sunny with seasonable temperatures in the high again near 50. And the outlook for Monday is partly cloudy and milder. And that's the late news and the Manhattan weather forecast from Teleguide, Channel 6.
Another branch of the theater in New York City is Off-Broadway. And here to run down the list of Off-Broadway offerings and give you some sage advice is Doug Watt, critic and columnist for the New York Daily News.
How do you do? Going off-Broadway means seeing a little more of our city than you might if you stayed on Broadway. It can be fun. It's venturous at any rate. It can be risky, too, in the case of several offerings off-Broadway. First of all, I'd like to mention that there are off-Broadway at the moment 4 companies, well, no, 3 that can be considered repertory companies. At the Phoenix Theater is the Association of Producing Artists, offering excellent productions of a stage version of Tolstoy's massive novel War and Peace, and Bernard Shaw's Man and Superman, including the Don Juan and Hell sequence. The Lincoln Center Repertory Theater, temporarily down in Washington Square in the amphitheater there, is offering Arthur Miller's latest play, an hour-and-a-half drama called Incident at Vichy, that I found more earnest and enjoyable. But alongside it, on other nights, is Moliere's Tartuffe, in quite an interesting production with a good central performance in the title role. At the Martinique Theater, we have Othello running in tandem with Bertolt Brecht's first play, Baal. They both performed, as I indicated, by the same cast. Elsewhere off-Broadway, we have The Sound of Silence, the first play at the Maidman Theater about the racial conflict, and it's rather talkative, but still the work of a promising playwright. A View from the Bridge at the Sheridan Square is another Arthur Miller play that I find, again, somewhat, well, let's say phony. It's dramatic, but in a contrived fashion. The Trojan Women at the Circle in the Square is an interesting production, but vocally lacking. That is, the performers do not have the declamatory style that the Greek play requires. All Glory is running at the Theatre de Lys, All Glory being an overall title for 3 plays, one of which, Benito Cereno, the work of an American poet called Robert Lowell, is the current offering, and it's attracting a good deal of attention. The Pinter plays, I forget what theater they're at the moment, but anyway, they're off-Broadway, consist of a very early play by the British playwright and a more recent one. And they both show a very interesting style of the author and are well acted. The Cat and the Canary is a mystery melodrama dating back perhaps 35 or 40 years, but still giving audiences some enjoyment. It's stage 73. I don't mean it's been there that long, but I mean the play goes back that far. Cindy at the Cricket is somewhat amusing, light, but, well, I don't know whether to recommend it or not. It's a version of Cinderella, a musical version. The Knack at the New Theater is a British comedy given excellent direction by Mike Nichols. And last of all, we have that long-running off-Broadway musical, tender, rueful musical called The Fantastics at the Sullivan Street. Well, that's about it, and take care.
Thank you very much, Doug, for your report on Off-Broadway.
New York City weather, cloudy, temperature 40. Time 10:43.
Well, gals, I imagine you'll all want to make use of your natural charms to the utmost, so we suggest you to stop at the Buddy Murray's beauty salon in the New York Hilton Hotel. And they're staffed with experts in hairstyling and makeup. Add to the enjoyment of your visit to New York by having a new hairstyle created for you at the Buddy Murray's salon. Your makeup analysis at the salon is with the compliments of Buddy Murray's. It's located in the lower level of the New York Hilton at 54th Street and 6th Avenue. For an appointment, you can call Judson 6-0173 and say the Teleguide sent you. The telephone number again is Judson 6-0173. Get a new hairdo. Boy, oh boy, it'd make a new woman out of you. Husband won't know you.
If you're in the mood for a restaurant that combines fine food, an authentic Bavarian atmosphere, and extremely reasonable prices, then the Steuben Tavern is a must. Located just off Times Square at 47th Street, the Steuben Tavern is within short walking distance of all Broadway theaters. In addition to their famous list of Bavarian dishes, the Steuben also specializes in steaks, chops, lobster, and seafood. Either for lunch or dinner, the Steuben Tavern is one of New York's best bargains. That's the Steuben Tavern, Times Square and 47th Street, serving until 1 a.m.
Your gambling instincts. It's time to play Teleguide's Hotel Sweepstakes. This is the game where you visitors to New York can win interesting prizes. Actually, today we have been giving away so many prizes we ran short, so we have only one set of prizes today, which is a very pleasant thing. A pair of tickets to the Umbrellas of Cherbourg. This is a French film, and it's winner of 5 international awards. A tender French love story filmed in color. And you know those tender French love stories. Well, all righty. Now here are the rules of the game. You must be a guest in a hotel on Teleguide's television network. You must have your hotel key with you when you claim your prize as a winner in our sweepstakes. And if you are a Teleguide sweepstakes winner, you will pick up your prize at Teleguide offices at 1840 Broadway at 60th Street. Well, practically any time today, and or tomorrow, or Monday. And winners are not eligible to win again for 90 days. So here we go. We'll mix the bowl here. These are the keys that represent the various hotels on the Teleguide network. So there's one without a key on it. Still be able to read the name of the hotel. So let's make it up real good here. And now, hide my face against the wall of your television set and pull out a key. This is from the Barbizon Plaza. All right, the first person from the Barbizon Plaza to call Judson 6-1770 will be the winner of the prize. I have my phone right here, so you're all ready to handle it. Judson 6-1770 is the number to call. First person from the Barbizon Plaza to call that number will win the pair of tickets to the Umbrellas of Cherbourg. And tell you what, whilst we're waiting for the calls, suppose we visit with Mr. Howard Keel.
Hello, friends. This is your host, Bob Roberts, reporting on the New York scene. It's my pleasure to introduce to you the very handsome acting and singing star, Howard Keel.
Hello, Bob.
Howard, nice to have you aboard.
Thank you.
Howard, you're appearing in Camelot at the moment.
Yes, I'm at the Mineola Playhouse in Mineola.
For you folks who are visiting our fair city, Mineola is only a stone's throw from the city via Long Island Railroad. You started doing this prior to your visit to Mineola, though.
Yes, I did it for about 14 weeks last summer, and then I did it in Phoenix. But this is the first time I've done it in what they call proscenium. Most of the times I've been in the
It's a different technique altogether.
Yes, it is.
You have to play to an audience in front of you rather than all around you.
Yes, it's to adjust from the ground to the proscenium is very difficult. I find myself now, after a couple of weeks, just really become comfortable in the proscenium.
And any comments about the fact that you were stepping into a role that was played by Richard Burton?
Well, last year they accused me of imitating Burton, but I never saw Burton. So I'm afraid that if they think that I'm imitating Burton, then that's just paying me a very fine compliment, because I think that Burton's a very fine actor.
Well, you do a great job in this, I caught you on opening night. And I think most people may not know that you started in theater, as a matter of fact. You were in Oklahoma?
In New York, in 1945.
New York.
I played Oklahoma and Carousel for about 2 years, and I played the original company of Oklahoma in London.
And then from there, Metro signed you for a long stay.
Yeah.
Can you reel off some of the names of the many pictures you've made for Metro?
Well, I've done some marvelous pictures, I think. Annie with the Gun, Showboat, Sub Brides, Sub Brothers, Kitchen Cake, Pigment, Callaway and Callaway.
And you make your home in Los Angeles?
In California, yeah.
You've got a wife and 2 lovely
Two
children?
children.
What ages?
The oldest girl now is 15, and the girl will be 13, and the boy 10.
You're an old married man.
Yes.
My God, I wish I looked like that when I had children that age. As a matter of fact, I just told Howard that I had a big right because the girl I was with on opening night, who went to a cast party, she tripped over you. And,
You didn't tell me, Bob.
Well, now I'm telling you. Howard, tell us about life in L.A. versus staying here in New York. How do you spend your time, for example, in New York?
Well, when I come to New York, now on a trip like this, I spend a good deal of time to myself because working on stage requires a lot of energy. The part of the art is an enormous part. But what free time I do have, I'll go to museums and theater and do things like this.
And how about the restaurants? Where do you like to dine at a place
Well,
you like to go to?
I generally take them into St. Louis Hotel. That's my favorite place.
And you're going
And
to
then I go to Danny's Hideaway and go to the little club, Village Little Club. Village always very nice. And so is Danny.
I imagine life in L.A. is much more peaceful and...
Much different entirely. I never worry about the weather. I play quite a bit of golf. And it's a slower pace altogether.
Well, I want to say that it's a welcome visitor to have here.
Thank you.
Howard. And for you folks watching us, get over to the Mineola Playhouse and see a great performance by Howard Keel in Camelot.
Well, let's look into our calendar of events and find out some things for you to do while you're here in New York. First, we'll tell you how to dress to go out because it's going to be mostly sunny and windy today, high in the low 50s, so I think you still better wear a light overcoat. Maybe not too light at that. It's 39 degrees right now and the sun is shining. It's a very pleasant day. And Teleguide hello to all members of the Eastern States Association of Professional Schools for Teachers holding their conventions at the New Yorker Hotel. The American Ballet is performing at State Theater at Lincoln Center, Broadway and 65th Street. They have 2 performances today. They have one at 2:15. They're doing Giselle, this is in 2 acts, and Graduation Ball. And there are some tickets left here at $5.95. This evening, the Grand Pas of Glotzenov, Miss Julie, La Fille Malgardée, and this is at $1.75 to $5.95 at 8:15 this evening at the American Ballet. 2 programs tomorrow, Les Sylphides by Folkine and Billy the Kid, and Etudes at 2:15, and tomorrow evening at 8:15, Les Sylphides, The Four Marys, Sargasso, and Theme and Variations. That's the American Ballet at the State Theater. Carnegie Hall is presenting a Kurt Weill evening this evening at 8:30, and tomorrow the Israeli Dance Festival at 2:30 and 8:30. Carnegie Hall is at 154 West 57th Street. Philharmonic Hall program for the afternoon today and tomorrow are both sold out. Same thing for Metropolitan Opera, completely sold out, both performances today and tomorrow's performance. New York City Opera is performing at City Center. They're doing Die Dragoschenoper by Kurt Weill in German, the Threepenny Opera, and Il Trittico by Puccini in Italian. That's at New York City Center, 131 West 55th Street. New and recent music by Charles Dodge and Robert Stern will be played today at 8:30 at the Donnell Library Center at the New York Public Library at 20 West 53rd Street, just off Fifth Avenue. The admission is free. The Yonda Washington Square Theater at Washington Square South at Lincoln Center is doing Arthur Miller's Incident at Vichy today at 2 and at 8:30. And the top 5 movie attractions from Teleguide: Goldfinger at the DeMille Theater, 7th Avenue and 47th Street, 36 Hours at the Forum, Broadway and 47th Street, Seance on a Wet Afternoon at the Fine Arts, 58th between Park and Lexington, Sound of Music at Rivoli, Broadway at 49th Street, and the foreign film Marriage Italian Style at the Festival Theater at 6 West 57th Street, right off Fifth Avenue. For a sure winner off-Broadway, try the Fantastics at Sullivan Street Playhouse in Greenwich Village. This is a musical production with excellent songs and a delightful heroine played by B.J. Ward. That's the Fantastics at the Sullivan Street Playhouse, 181 Sullivan Street at Bleecker Street. For tickets, call OR4-3838. That's OR4-3838. A sort of Cinderella story, complete with The Slipper and the Good Witch, has been rewritten into a delightful musical now playing off-Broadway entitled Cindy. This is a show at the Cricket Theater at 2nd Avenue at 10th Street, one that adults can enjoy even if they bring the kids along. City has performances on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday evenings at 8:30, Saturday evenings at 7 and 10, and Sunday afternoons at 3. Tickets range from $2.50 to $4.95 at various performances. That's the Cricket Theater off 2nd Avenue and 10th Street, and the box office number is Columbus 54188. And Camelot, which revives the wondrous delights and the romantic adventures of King Arthur and his knights, has opened at the Mineola Playhouse. Howard Keel stars as the gallant King Arthur, and Margaret Moser as his beautiful Queen Guinevere. Showtimes at 8:30 weekdays, 5 and 9 on Saturdays, and 2 and 6 on Sundays. Camelot at the Mineola Playhouse on Long Island. For reservations, call 516-Pioneer 6-6767. Most visitors don't know there are polo games going on in New York every weekend, and if you'd like to see for yourself, go up to the Squadron A Armory at 94th Street and Madison Avenue this evening. Games begin at about 8:30, and the admission is $2.50. Well, those zany comedians, the Ritz Brothers, have returned to Jack Silverman's International, and the second show attraction will be comedian Jackie Wakefield, who's also appearing in I Had a Ball on Broadway. Showtime at the International is at 9, and dancing begins at 8 to Michael Durso's orchestra and Don Cheatham's Roomba Band. Jack Silverman's International is located on Broadway and 52nd Street, right near the Theater District. Here's something for you if you have children. Stop by the exciting new Sky Show entitled 6 Minutes to Mars. This is at the Hayden Planetarium, and you can see it weekdays, 2, 3:30, and at 8:30. And there's a show at 11 o'clock this morning, and also at 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8:30, both Saturday and Sunday. The admission is $1 or $1.25 for adults, and 50 or 75 cents for children. Now, this is a perfectly fascinating sky show, since the planet Mars is very bright in our nighttime sky during the next few months. The Hayden Planetarium's on Central Park West at 81st Street. It's easy to get there by the 6th or 8th Avenue IND local subway. So those are some of the things for you to see and do here in New York, reported from Teleguide's calendar of events.
I doubt very much if there's a better known or better loved restaurant in all of this great city of ours than Sardi's over on 44th west of Times Square. Anybody who comes to New York to visit, whether it's to see a big show on Broadway or simply to have fine dining, is familiar with Sardi's, and probably familiar with Mr. Vincent Sardi, who is our guest today. Thank you for coming here, sir.
Thank you, Regine, for inviting me.
I think that's a perfectly obvious thing. Sardi's is a habitué for show people, for those who want to make it great, and for those who simply want to go to the theater and want to have a very superb meal before that. But this brings to mind, Mr. Sardi, your more recent addition to the family, Sardi's East. This is farther east and a little farther north. Why was that created, sir?
Well, we created it to cater to the regulars who had moved east with the television industry and all that sort of thing, and also to cater to the people who were not going to the theater, who lived on the east side, who knew Sardi's and only were going to Sardi's on the west side when they were going to the theater. Also, it's a large hotel area as well as residential.
Well, of course, Sardi's, the original Sardi's, I'll call it, has been practically a landmark in New York for these many years, and it's a pretty crowded place, let's face it. Around showtime in the evening, it's a very jam. I imagine this is one of the reasons you've now established that big double-decker English bus to cater to the folks on the east side who want to go to the theater.
Yes, we do that. You can't get taxi cabs in the theater.
I know
time.
that.
So we bring them over to the theater and then bring them back after the theater in the double-decker bus.
What is Sardi's East like? Let's establish its address. 54th?
Between Park Avenue and Lexington. Well, we still have the decor, theatrical decor, not all the caricatures that we have on the west side, but basically the decor is theatrical. And it's much more gracious in that the tables are larger. We cater to the regular diner who wants to take his time and have a nice meal and a nice atmosphere.
Can you cater to the hotel visitor who's not going to the theater? For instance, to, say, the family that comes to New York and wants to go even after 8 o'clock, say 9 or up till midnight?
Oh, yes. Our kitchen's open until 1 o'clock. And that's one of the specific reasons we opened the restaurant, so that we could get the person who just wanted to dine, whether he is a hotel client or whether he is a resident of the area. That's definitely our purpose.
I know you're open for lunches at Sardi's East, so in other words, you can cater to people all during the day. What is it, about 12 noon or so till 1 in the morning, I understand.
Yes, and we stay open for dinner 7 days a week. We don't open for lunch on Saturday and Sunday, but holidays, whether it's Christmas, New Year's, doesn't make any difference. We're open, and therefore, again, catering to the family dinners.
Yeah, I may say, because I know you'd be too modest to, that prices for a superb meal here are not really expensive. They're certainly in line with superb cooking. So if you want something that's relaxed for the whole family, pre-theater if you want it, there's transportation, or simply to enjoy a superb meal after dark, 8, 9 o'clock or so. Sardi's East is where we're found at 123 East 54th Street between Park and Lexington. And may we thank you, Mr. Sardi, for coming up here and being our guest on Teleguide.
Thank you, Gene.
You tune to Teleguide, Channel 6, the world's largest closed-circuit television system, reaching 45,000 rooms in 52 major hotels, serving New York's 16 million annual visitors with a buying power of $1.5 billion. Our complete program every hour includes the Boulevard Watch Time, the late news and weather, and suggestions for your entertainment and dining pleasure. In this next half hour, we'll have something of special interest to you ballet lovers. We'll also visit a South Sea Islands paradise and visit one of the oldest and most famous Chinese restaurants in New York. So stay tuned to Teleguide, Channel 6, weekdays from 7 o'clock in the morning until 1 the following morning, and weekends from 10 o'clock in the morning until midnight.
Things about Los Angeles is the TWA jet that takes you there. You have your choice of flights during the day and in the evening. Save money with TWA's family travel plan. Pay full fare only for yourself and save 25% of the fare for your wife in first class or jet coach. Enjoy delicious meals at dining hours. Whether you're going to Los Angeles on a business trip or for pleasure, fly there on TWA. Want a rental car? TWA will arrange it. Fly TWA non-stop to Los Angeles. Nationwide, worldwide, depend on TWA.
Save time on your next trip to Los Angeles and fly TWA's late afternoon non-stop from Newark. If your office is in Manhattan, you'll probably find Newark Airport more convenient. And TWA's 5:30 p.m. jet features theater-style movies presented by In-Flight Motion Pictures. Also, you can choose from 4 other TWA non-stop jets to Los Angeles every day from Kennedy Airport. For reservations, call TWA or see your travel agent and specify TWA.
And now here's a brief summary of the late news from Teleguide and United Press International. Elwood Thompson reporting. Alabama authorities indicate the death penalty may be sought against 4 Ku Klux Klansmen arrested in connection with the sniper shooting of Mrs. Viola Liuzzo. Attorney General Richard Flowers said this decision will rest on the available evidence in the case. 3 of the suspects were released on $50,000 bond each at Birmingham, Alabama last night, and the 4th was held on another charge. President Johnson appears to be determined to wage a campaign against the Ku Klux Klan. Mr. Johnson has ordered the Justice Department to draft legislation that would bring the organization under effective control of law. He acted yesterday in announcing the arrest of 4 Klansmen in connection with the slaying of a Detroit civil rights worker in Alabama. In a related development, Attorney General Nicholas Katzenbach has expressed a belief that county law enforcement officers in some parts of the nation are Klan members. A majority of the House Committee on Un-American Activities members have endorsed a probe of the Ku Klux Klan. Committee Chairman Edward Willis says that he hopes to call the group together next week to consider the proposal. His comment came as a follow-up to a suggestion offered by President Johnson that also covered similar organizations. The grief-stricken family of Mrs. Liuzzo remained secluded in their Detroit home last night as her body was returned to the Motor City. Only a few Teamsters Union officials and newsmen were on hand when the Union plane carrying her casket touched down at the airport. However, a Union official said thousands of messages of sympathy have been received from throughout the country. Mrs. Liuzzo was killed by a sniper bullet Thursday as she shuttled civil rights demonstrators between Montgomery and Selma, Alabama. An angry call for action has swelled in connection with the murder of Mrs. Viola Liuzzo in Alabama. There were some demands for the arrests or impeachment of Alabama officials and police officers. James Farmer, director of the Congress of Racial Equality, said the slaying, in his words, points out the need for continuous federal presence in Alabama. 7 policemen were injured last night in a street fight with Negroes at Waterbury, Connecticut. Police said the officers were kicked, bitten, and hit with a bottle and a board. They said the fracas developed when the officer attempted to make an arrest. A U.S. ambassador to South Vietnam, Maxwell Taylor, flies to Washington today for talks on the communist guerrilla war. Informed sources say Taylor will urge President Johnson to increase the frequency and the strength of airstrikes against North Vietnam. Reports indicate the communists have decreased their military activity in South Vietnam since the air attacks began. Communist frogmen have blown a hole in the stern of a U.S. Navy cargo ship at the South Vietnamese port city of Da Nang. 1 Japanese crewman aboard the vessel was slightly injured by the explosion of the underwater bomb. Police in Frankfurt, Germany have arrested 6 anti-American demonstrators protesting what they called U.S. gas warfare in South Vietnam. A crowd of 100 demonstrators broke through the police line in front of the U.S. Consulate General building, but were halted by another police contingent. San Francisco citizens had their annual opportunity yesterday to attend a meeting with the mayor to criticize him to his face and to hear his review of the budget. Mayor John Shelley reviewed the $388 million budget to the 16 persons who showed up. The temperature in New York is 40 degrees. The 3-day weather forecast, mostly sunny and windy with seasonable temperatures today and the high in the low 50s. Clear and cold tonight with diminishing winds and the low in the 20s. Tomorrow sunny with seasonable temperatures and a high near 50. The outlook for Monday is partly cloudy and milder. And that's the late news and the Manhattan weather forecast from Teleguide, Channel 6.
The American Ballet Theater is presenting its 25th anniversary season at the New York State Theater in Lincoln Center. The dance program includes many old favorites such as Les Sylphides, Fancy Free, Fall River Legend, Giselle, and Graduation Ball. 6 new dance works, including 2 by Agnes DeMille and 1 by Jerome Robbins, will be seen for the first time during the 4 weeks that the American Ballet Theatre will be at the State Theatre. The 2 DeMille ballets are The Four Marys and The Wind in the Mountains. Jerome Robbins is doing a new version of Les Noches, set to a score by Igor Stravinsky, which is played by 4 grand pianos and 6 timpani and interpreted by a chorus of 30 voices and 4 soloists, and using almost the company's entire corps ballet. La Sophie, the 2-act romantic classic, has been restaged by Harold Lanter. L'Inconnu was inspired by a newspaper report of the discovery of an unknown girl in the River Seine. This new ballet, choreographed by Bentley Stone. Scenes and costumes for Sargasso, another new production, are by Ruben Tur-Aratanian. The principal dancers of the American Ballet Theatre include Lupe Serrano, Royes Fernandez, Tony Landa, and John Kreitzer. In addition, they have guest soloists, the artists Sonia Arova, Carmen de Lavalade, and John Gilpin. The American Ballet Theatre is rated among the best in the world, says Time magazine, so you be sure and see this outstanding ballet company while you're visiting us here in New York City at Lincoln Center's New York State Theatre at 64th Street and Columbus Avenue. Tickets range from $1.05 in the 5th ring to $5.95 in the orchestra. And now here's the program for today and ticket availabilities.
2 programs today. At 2:15, they're doing Giselle in 2 acts and Graduation Ball. Tickets available, some at $5.95. At 8:15 this evening, the Grand Pas of Glatzenov, Miss Julie, La Fille Malgardy. And tickets for that are available at $1.75 to $5.95. That's at the American Ballet at State Theatre, Broadway at 65th Street. Here are Teleguide's top 10 New York attractions for today. The finals of the Pocket Billiards Championship start today at the Commodore and run until 1 in the morning. The Bronx Botanic Garden offers lectures and nature walks on Saturday. The last concert of the Schubert Ravel Festival goes on sale tonight at Town Hall. The Amato Opera Theater is doing Mozart's Magic Flute this evening, and there's indoor polo at the Squadron Armory. The American Ballet Theater gives a matinee and evening performance today, and Madame Butterfly and Turandot are being sung at the Metropolitan Opera House. The New York City Opera performs Il Trittico at City Center. Sherlock Holmes is revived every night in Baker Street and the Broadway Theater. Phil Ford and Mimi Hines close out their successful appearance at the Royal Box. Those are Teleguide's top 10 New York attractions, and this reminder is still going to be fairly cool today with the high around the 50s, so you must still bundle up a little bit, although we'll have sunshiny and pleasant weather otherwise.
Aloha Nui Kaku, a big greeting and welcome to everyone. Welcome to the Luau 400, just around the corner off 1st Avenue and 57th Street. Como mai e noho iho. Come in and sit down. Luau 400, the place for all kanis and wahinis, that's men and women, to gather and hulaulea, meaning make merry. Well, the most exciting way to say okole maluna, bottoms up, is with a Luau 400 Scorpion, an exotic drink you'll never forget. Or this appealing to the eye and delightful to the taste concoction called a Piña Paradise. Others are found drinking a tribute to all those who sailed the 7 seas, a mellow and lusty drink for the bold and brave. It's good old Navy grog. Luau in Hawaiian means feast of celebration, and they've been known to last for days in Hawaii. Here we have one of the many specialties of the house, tasty, delectable, exotic appetizers, a pupu platter. Authentic Hawaiian music presented here at Luau 400 with Halaloma. And now, Epaina Eayamana, come dine with us. Now as we cross over the bridge, we're truly entering upon an exciting experience in fine foods.
Here at Luau 400, you'll find one of the most exotic selections in fine dining anywhere in the world. Where we see one such delectable selection, Javanese satay, which has been marinated in specially prepared Luau 400 sauce. Now, when you get tired of steak night after night, here's one that'll renew your faith. Steak ni hao. It's served with mushrooms, a delicate oyster sauce, butter, brandy, lightly flavored with nuts, and served with white rice. And for the gourmet who specializes in seafood, you'll always remember and talk about the dining experience you enjoyed at Luau 400. A treat you'll never forget.
The Luau 400 is not just another restaurant, but a totally new experience, an enjoyable adventure located just around the corner at 400 East 57th Street. To send a message for reservations, call El Dorado EL5 6555. The Luau 400 East 57th Street, and the phone number again.
You're looking at the takeoff of a new idea in air transportation for businessmen. The exciting new Lear Jet. Developed by William P. Lear Sr., the creator of the autopilot, this jet has 25% more power relative to weight than any other aircraft. It can climb to 10,000 feet in 90 seconds, and that beats even an F-100. The Lear jet can carry 9 people, or 1,900 pounds of freight. It can land or take off from more than 4,000 small airfields in the United States. It's an all-weather jet that's ready to go when you are, and go it does, at almost 600 miles per hour. It has a range of well over 1,800 miles, and you could go from New York to Denver without stopping and still have enough fuel left to make Salt Lake City or Albuquerque. And all this above the weather at 40,000 feet. If you'd like further information about this exciting new method of air travel for executives, write to Lear Jet Corporation, Wichita, Kansas.
Master sleuth Sherlock Holmes has finally invaded Broadway, and audiences are delighted. The nightly goings-on in Baker Street, which also happens to be the name of this roaring musical, would make James Bond blush for shame. Fritz Weaver is a very talented Sherlock. Inga Svensson is stunning as the American girl, and Martin Gable is truly devastating as the madly sinister Moriarty, who tries to escape from Holmes. Don't let him escape from you, though. Get your tickets now for Baker Street at the Broadway Theater on Broadway and 52nd Street. And now, here's the situation on tickets.
Situation on tickets is very rough at present. Tickets are sold out for this evening completely, the afternoon and evening, and they're going fast for Monday. And now it's time to play Teleguide's Hotel Sweepstakes. This is the game where you visitors to New York can win interesting prizes. And today we're giving away a pair of tickets to This Was Burlesque at the Hudson Theater at 44th Street East of Broadway. This Was Burlesque with Ann Corio. And the secret of success is the fact that this is burlesque and that Ann Corio is such a talented person because she is more or less the guiding genius behind the show. So that's the very fine show that you can enjoy very much at the Hudson Theater, 44th Street East, Broadway. They have a matinee Sunday and Saturday at 2:30, and evening performances Saturday and Sunday at 8:30. And now, here are the rules of the game. You must be a guest in a hotel on Teleguide's television network. You must have your hotel key with you when you claim your prize as a winner in our sweepstakes. And if you are a Teleguide sweepstakes winner, you'll pick up your prize at the Teleguide offices at 1840 Broadway and 60th Street. Winners are not eligible to win again for 90 days. Now let's play Hotel Sweepstakes. This is the way we work it. These are the various keys representing the hotels in our Teleguide network, and we have on here a little tag identifying the hotel. So let's mix them up real good and draw one. Now I'll hide my face against the wall, pull out a key. There we are. This is the New Yorker Hotel. Okay, the first person from the New Yorker Hotel to call, Judson 61770, will be the winner. Judson 61770. And the first person to call from the New Yorker will, of course, be the winner. I tell you, while we're waiting for a call, suppose we give you some Teleguide shopping tips and suggestions. Come back up there. This will never do. I guess we'll just have to hold it in our hands, a little hot hand. The home of the freeze is what they call Rossoff's Restaurant, in business since 1899 in the Times Square area. Free hot hors d'oeuvres, free second helpings, free candy, magazines, and masks for the kids. Rossoff's is just a 3-minute walk to all major Broadway theaters, and they guarantee that you will make the curtain. Full-course dinners start at $2.20. Rossoff's is open from 11:30 until 9:15 weekdays and until 12:45 on Saturdays. Call Judson 2-3200 for reservations and let them know that Teleguide sent you, and a special gift will be waiting for you. That's Rossoff's at 147 West 43rd Street. I see we have someone on the line right now, so let's see who they are and so forth. Although I won't tell you their name on the air, okay? Good morning.
Hello, everyone. This is Joan McDonough. One of the oldest Chinese restaurants here in New York City is called Ruby Food. It's been at the same location for about 30 years, in the same family that long, too. Our special guest today is Miss Bernice Parks, who is the present owner of Ruby Foods. Hi, Bernice.
Hello, Joan.
Nice to have you with us on Teleguide today. So tell us about the restaurant, and you've only been owner for a short while, right? How do you like being owner?
I like it very much. It's wonderful to be out there meeting the public, meeting people from all over the country, all over the world, as a matter of fact, because we get guests from every part of the world.
Wonderful.
Ruby Foods is internationally renowned.
And deservedly so.
Thank you.
Great food.
Thank you.
You specialize in Cantonese cooking, right?
Yes, we do. Such things as, may we talk a little bit about some dishes?
Ooh, please. That's the most important thing.
Let's do, because I'm hungry. Our spare ribs are really very famous and very fantastic. And we make great egg rolls. And a dish that is particularly renowned is lobster Cantonese. And roast pork sha shu ding. Does that make you hungry?
Roast pork sha shu ding.
Well, it's Chinese roast pork, chopped fine with Chinese vegetables and almonds, and very good.
Oh, it's
very tasty.
Heavenly. What's the address of Ruby Foods?
It's at 240 West 52nd Street. And I might add, it is right plunk in the heart of the theater district. It's across the street from the Owl and the Pussycat, a half a block from Baker Street, another half a block from Funny Girl, and just around the corner from Fade In, Fade Out, and 5 minutes walking from any other theater in Midtown Manhattan.
So absolutely no excuse for being late for the theater. Also, you're open for lunch, right? And
lunch,
after the
dinner, and after theater. And of course we have a cocktail lounge. And say, by the way, talking about cocktail lounges, I would like to dispel any notion that New Yorkers are cold and sort of get to know some of these nice people that are listening in on Teleguide. I'd like to invite you all to come in and have a cocktail with me at Ruby Foods if they tell us that they saw us on Teleguide.
Well, what a nice idea. So you all have an invitation from Bernice to come down and visit her and have a drink at her wonderful restaurant. So tell us a little bit more about the special dishes that you serve.
Well, we have many. Our menu is so varied. By the way, for those people that don't like Chinese food, and sometimes, you know, wife likes Chinese food and the husband doesn't, or vice versa, we make excellent steaks and fried chicken and shrimp. We don't have a very extensive American menu because we do specialize in the Chinese dishes. But we do have enough American dishes to please the occasional guest who doesn't want to eat Chinese food.
Well, I'm sure you will be extremely pleased with anything that you have at Ruby Foods. The address again?
240 West 52nd Street between Broadway and 8th Avenue.
Open 7 days a week. Thanks so much for being our guest on Teleguide today, Bernice.
Thank you, Joan.
Looks like you have a fine day for enjoying your stay here in New York. You will have to wear an overcoat because it's a little on the cool side. It's 40 degrees now, and it's expected to go into the 50s. I guess if you're doing a lot of walking and hurrying, you can keep yourself warm, but if you're going to take a leisurely time at it, you better have a coat along. And it'll be sunny and windy, you see, with some seasonable temperatures today, so I would advise a light coat at least. The Haymarket restaurant in the Statler Hilton Hotel recalls the gaiety of the 90s with its costumed waitresses and the Haymarket cop who doubles as a comedian when he isn't handing out summonses. Piano music is provided by Eddie Weber. For an unusual experience in dining, try the Haymarket Restaurant in the Statler Hilton Hotel, 7th Avenue and 33rd Street. It's right across the street from Pennsylvania Station. Teleguide salutes the convention in towns today. We hope that you people are enjoying your visit here. The Department of Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States are at the Commodore Hotels. The Sweetheart Alliance are holding their regional competition at the Americana Hotel. And the National Building Project Association is at the Statler Hilton. English furniture and decorations belonging to Mrs. Clifford G. LaCrosse and other owners will be sold at public auction at the Park Bernet Galleries at 9 a.m.
But it is an animal, vegetable, or mineral.
Which was ours? The
here in New York. And there'll be 9 action-packed harness races every night through May 12th. Post times at 8 p.m. The daily double closes, twin double closes at 6 straight, and the daily double closes at 7:50 p.m. And the general admission is $2.10. The clubhouse is $4. There are buses leaving from 4:30 to 7:30 from the Port Authority bus terminal at 41st Street and 8th Avenue, and that's probably the most convenient way to get to Yonkers track. And while you're out there, you can dine at the Empire Terrace. Thoroughbred racing gets underway every day at 1:30 at the Big A Aqueduct, and there are 9 races daily, and the daily double windows close at 1:20. Special express subway trains run from 42nd Street on the 8th Avenue line. They started about 10:30 this morning. The spring season of Aqueduct continues through May 31st. Come Alive is the name of an original exhibit of Way Out Games at the Pepsi-Cola Gallery, and it's free of charge any weekday between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. Adults and youngsters will both enjoy playing the old fashions as hopscotch, ring toss, and so forth. At least the youngsters will enjoy it. The old folks don't take up all the space, you know. That's the Pepsi-Cola Exhibition Gallery, 500 Park Avenue, at the corner of 59th Street, any week between 9 and 7. Well, Sherlock Holmes has invaded Broadway in the form of the hit Broadway musical Baker Street, and we're mentioning it now, although there are no tickets available either for this afternoon's performance or this evening's performance. We'd like to encourage you to stay over maybe an extra day, and you can see Baker Street on Monday. But if you do stay, you better start getting your tickets. In other words, for Monday, you better get your tickets today, because they are going fast, Monday and Tuesday. The Wednesday matinee is nearly completely sold out, so you can see how that show is going. And we're telling you this now because possibly if you come back again in another month or so, this will be a situation where tickets are almost impossible to get. That's Baker Street at the Broadway Theater on Broadway and 52nd Street. And once again, we'd like to remind you to bundle up a little bit, because it's going to be a little windy and cool today. Although it's a very sunny and pleasant-looking day, still there's a little bit of nip in the air, as it were. So enjoy yourself while you're here, okay? These are the doorways to a wonderful night on the town. And Teleguide takes you inside for a Teleguide tour of the nightclub scene as we visit upstairs at the downstairs and downstairs at the upstairs. One of the big forms in show business today is the musical review, and the best of them all is one called The Game Is Up, upstairs at the downstairs. This is the new, exciting second edition of The Game Is Up. Judith Christ of the Herald Tribune called it first-rate, topical entertainment that breezes along with wit, grace, good melody, and high styles. And not only that, but a lot of laughs. We can tell you that the sketches on The Great Society, Air Pollution, Doris Day, Radio City Music Hall, and discotheques have some of the funniest lines yet. That's the new musical review, upstairs at the downstairs. The Game Is Up. They have shows at 9:30 and at midnight. The first part of the week, it's $5 for the minimum. And on Friday and Saturday, the minimum is only $6. And there is never a cover charge at upstairs at the downstairs, so call for reservations at Judson 2-1244. You'll find it a night of fun on the town, a night well spent, with wit and charm and excitement and laughter. Upstairs at the downstairs, the exciting new second edition of The Game Is Up. And now here's something entirely different. The great Mabel Mercer Mabel Mercer is celebrating her 51st year in show business downstairs at the upstairs. She's appearing 6 nights a week with her pianist, Sam Hamilton. Mabel Mercer, one of the great song stylists of all time. She invests each song with a deep feeling. She sings the song the way it was meant to be sung, and she adds something special of her own. Mabel Mercer, you can go and see and listen and become emotionally involved. This is a place to go for lovers of all ages. Mabel Mercer, who brings you the romance of music at its very best. Put yourself in this picture. Call for reservations at downstairs at the upstairs for a night of top-grade entertainment. The address again is 37 West 56th Street, and the phone number is Judson 21244. You're tuned to Teleguide, Channel 6, the world's largest closed-circuit television system, reaching 45,000 rooms in 52 major hotels, serving New York's 16 million annual visitors with a buying power of $1.5 billion. A complete program every hour includes the Boulevard watch time, late news and weather, and suggestions for your entertainment and dining pleasure. In this next half hour, we'll visit a most unusual place to buy jewelry. We'll also visit a racing driver who has opened a restaurant in New York, and we'll visit a place for you to buy gifts for the man who has everything. So stay tuned to Teleguide, Channel 6, weekdays from 7 a.m. to 1 the following morning, and weekends from 10 in the morning until midnight. For the convenience of New York hotel guests, Transworld Airlines reports the latest TWA flight information and the world travel weather, a special TWA service every hour on the half hour on Teleguide, Channel 6. All TWA jet westbound flights through 1 o'clock are reported departing on schedule, and all TWA jet eastbound international flights are also reported departing on time in the period up through 1 o'clock. And now let's take a look at the world travel weather both at home and in Europe. In Amsterdam, it was 43 degrees and the skies were cloudy. Athens was 55 under cloudy skies. Brussels reported 46 degrees with cloudy skies. In Geneva, it was cloudy also. The temperature was 43. London had clear skies for a change, and it was 46 degrees. In Madrid, the skies were clear, 37 degrees. Moscow had snow and a temperature of 34 degrees. There was rain in Paris, it was 50 degrees. Also rain in Rome, and the temperature there was 46. It was clear in Stockholm, 21 degrees, and Warsaw had 34 degrees under cloudy skies. On the domestic weather scene, record low temperatures were set again this morning in the Midwest. Lowest temperatures for so long in the season were established at Grand Rapids, Michigan, with 0, Milwaukee with 2 above, South Bend, Illinois with 4 above, and Fort Wayne with 1 above 0. Lansing, Michigan had 6 below 0. The mercury dropped to 13 above in Chicago, breaking a 92-year-old record of 15. 1 to 2 inches of snow fell over northern New England and Minnesota to northern Idaho.